Hi there guys, and welcome to the video element of the Tantrum Kitesurf Show. Now, the Tantrum Kitesurf Show is our podcast, and this one's on riding upwind. If you haven't listened to the podcast, I would highly advise you to go and listen to that before watching this video. Why? Because the video, it just won't make sense without listening to the podcast. Here we're talking about some quite detailed specifics that I couldn't really explain on the podcast, so it would be good to go and have a listen to that. The link to the podcast, should be appearing somewhere on your screen right about now. Click that link, go and listen to the podcast, come back and watch this video when you have listened to it. Okay, awesome. You've listened to the podcast, let's get cracking. So what I want to talk about today is these two concepts of how you use the board to control the kite and how that helps us when we're riding upwind, because we need to be riding slowly to ride upwind. Okay, so the two concepts I want to cover. Before I do that though, I want to explain something else to you. You have to amaze yourselves at my drawing skills. I got an F in art, so super artist, which actually makes it easy because they're super simple. So this is a car, believe it or not, looking down from above. This is the front, this is the back of the car. You are sticking your head out of the window. This car, now there's no wind at all at the moment. The car starts to move in that direction at 10 miles per hour. What wind do you now feel on your face? You're sticking your head out the window, the car's moving at 10 miles an hour. Yeah, that's right, you feel wind in that direction at 10 miles an hour. That's what's called the induced wind. Why? Because it's induced by the movement of the kite, of the car, as it moves. Okay, so it's contrary to the direction of motion, the induced wind. Okay, happy with that? Cool. The car stops. So the induced wind disappears because now you're sticking your head out the window. There's still no wind. The car's not moving, so there's just nothing. Okay, happy with that? The wind now picks up and starts blowing in that direction, convenient enough for us, at 10 miles per hour. Now the car's stationary, so obviously the wind you feel on your face there is 10 miles an hour in that direction. This is what's called the true wind. Why is it called the true wind? Because it's the real wind. It's the wind, yeah, okay? Now what happens? The car starts to move in that direction at 10 miles an hour. So we've now got two winds. We've got the true wind coming this direction at 10 miles an hour and an induced wind coming in that direction at 10 miles an hour. Now the wind can't come from two different directions at once. So what happens is the wind we actually feel on our face shifts and comes from that direction at about 15 miles per hour. It's a coefficient of the two, okay? Something to do with triangles and Pythagoras. So at about 15 miles an hour. Okay. As the car speeds up, the induced wind increases, so this wind gets stronger because this speed gets stronger, so the apparent wind shifts further around that way. As the car slows down, the induced wind slows down, so the apparent wind shifts further back towards the true wind. Okay? Hope that makes sense. Okay? If not, maybe watch that a couple of times. If not, just to get that in your head, because it's important for what we're going to talk about next. True wind, induced wind, apparent wind. This is the true wind. This is the induced wind. This is the apparent wind. The apparent wind is the wind you actually feel on your face at any one time. If you can't think of that in terms of sticking your head out of the car, think of it in terms of walking. If you're walking down the street, or running, even better, and there's no wind, you'll feel wind on your face, even if there's no wind. Yeah, but if there's a side breeze coming in at the same time as you're running, you'll actually feel the wind on your face somewhere around here. Yeah, because it's the mixture of those two winds. The wind can't come from two different directions at once. Okay, so what does this have to do anything about riding upwind? Okay, well, the key is that the kite itself flies on apparent wind. The kite flies on that third wind that's generated between the actual true wind and the movement of the kite itself. So as the kite's moving, it's generating power. Now you know this even if you don't know this, because when you come to water start, what do? Well, you fly the kite in a figure 8 and that generates the power to pull you up. Just sticking the kite at 12 o'clock and hoping that you're going to stand up isn't often going to work. And if it does, I suggest you seriously overpower and you're going to need to change and have a smaller kite. Okay, you have to actually move the kite to pick you up and to get you moving forward. Okay, so that's the key concept. It's the combination of the true wind and the movement of the kite. Okay, so this is our wind window, looking down from above. Okay, this is the wind, this is us, and this is the wind window. Okay, now we want to ride in that direction. Okay, so this is where we come to this concept of riding. Do we need to ride fast or do we need to ride slow? Okay, well, think about what happens. I'm stood on the beach, stood still. This is my wind window. Yep, quite happy. I start to ride in this direction. Let me just get rid of this arrow for the moment to show you we're going to ride. I start to ride in this direction. Let's use the same wind speed as before. This is 10 miles an hour and I'm now riding at 10 miles an hour. Where's the apparent wind coming from? Well, the apparent wind now, this is the induced wind at 10 miles an hour. So the apparent wind is coming from there. So what happens to my wind window? It moves. Okay. As I go faster, again, just like in the car, the apparent wind shifts further round to the front. So the wind window moves even further back. Okay? So as you're actually riding, the wind window's moving with you. As I slow down, conversely, so as I go slower in that direction, the wind speed hasn't changed. There's now less induced wind, so the apparent wind is coming more from that direction, and the wind window is more like that. Now, consider the kite always flies at the front of the window. Okay, so it always either wants to sit there or there. Yet it can go over your head, but it comes in this axis here. Okay, so just think about riding. The kite's down at 45 degrees. It's here. Okay, yeah, it's at the side, right at the front of the window. Okay. Now, as I start to ride slowly, the kite stays at the front of the window. Most people at this point think, oh, when I'm riding, the kite's right in the power zone. No, it's not. What's happened is the wind window's shifted. Your kite is still right at the front of the window. It cannot sit in the power zone. It's just impossible. The only way to get it in the power zone is to figure eight it into the power zone, to fly it into the power zone. So the kite will always sit at the very front of the window. Okay. What happens is your window shifts because of the apparent wind. So if I'm trying to ride in this direction, and think wherever the kite sits, it's generating pull. Some of you are probably starting to see this. Hopefully. So the closer my angle of pull is to my intended direction of travel, the better. Now, as I start going faster and faster, we've already said the wind window moves all the way back here. Yeah, this is a different colour. So this is my wind window now. And my kite's sat here. So it's pulling me straight downwind. So this distance between the angle between the angle of pull, the direction of pull, and the intended direction of travel is huge. So I'm going to end up getting pulled out in that direction, because remember the bar of soap? I squeeze a bar of soap between my fingers and it shoots out perpendicular. So if I'm trying to ride, one force is pushing me this way, that's the board, the kite's pulling me that way, I'm going to shoot out in that direction. What I want is, let me get another colour, that these two are really close. To get a little bit overdone now, but hopefully you can still see it. The kite is there, my intended direction of travel is there. This angle is really small. So I get shot out in that direction and actually ride upwind. So the way to do this is to ride slowly, because then the induced wind is less, so my wind window hasn't shifted as far back. Okay, now this is exactly the same concept as we talked about when we were talking about how you use the board to control the kite, because as I'm riding upwind, let's say I'm riding this way, ooh, the wind drops, so I suddenly start to angle. The wind's coming this way, sorry. I'm riding upwind, the wind drops, so I start to ride downwind. Oh, the wind picks up again, so I pinch back upwind. The wind drops, I ride downwind. Now it's picking up again, so I ride upwind. So you can see I'm not going in a straight line upwind. I'm constantly pinching against the wind, using the board ideally, not the kite. Why? Because as I fly the kite, naturally I'm generating pull in this direction and the board tends to slide. So I want to try and keep the kite still so that I can just gently angle the board back and forth on my heels and toes and generally carve a line upwind. Okay, really hope that helps, guys. Any questions on this, I say, hit me up, sam@samshamkitesurf.com, and I'll try and answer them. Again, if there's something that I've majorly missed, I'll come back and reshoot the video so that I can clear that up. In the meantime, if you are struggling with this, we're running a load of courses here in Taree for this year. We've got camps, we've got private tuition, we've got supervised kit hire, we've got all sorts of things going on. Check out the website www.tantramkitesurf.com. We would love to see you out here. We've got 10 years of experience of getting people riding upwind, and we're pretty bloody good at it. So come and see us and we'll get you sorted. It'd be awesome to see you out here, guys. Thanks for your time. Bye bye.